Hello everyone. The Imam bin Abdurrahman bin Faisal University students would like to present a topic in the plant stress course instructed by Dr. Fawzia Ash-Shimri regarding bacterial and fungal diseases in plants. The topics that will be discussed are the types of bacteria and fungi, their plant host, the diseases they cause, the symptoms, and pathway. Starting with bacteria, our first bacteria is Pseudomonas solanacerium. Pseudomonas solanacerium affects many plants, which includes tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, and pepper. The diseases that it causes is ground vile wilt. Regarding its pathway, the infection occurs via root penetration from wounding caused by cultivation, nematodes, insects, and the emergence of secondary roots, etc. When the bacteria enter the xylem vessels, it then spreads within the plant, dissolving the cell walls and creating cavities with a pus that oozes with bacteria and cell debris, leading to clogged pathways. The clogging of the plant's vascular system causes the restriction of the flow of water and nutrients. Moving on to Erwinia amylovora. This bacteria infects apples and pears, and the disease that it causes is fire blight. Regarding the pathway, the fire blight bacteria survive winter and crankers on the trunk or branches of infected trees. In spring, during the warm, wet weather, bacteria begin to multiply and seep out of the cranker through natural openings or cracks as a sweet, sticky liquid known as bacterial ooze. Insects such as pollinators are attracted to this sweetness and carry the bacteria to wounds or flowers. They can also be moved by splashing water from rain or irrigation, or on the hands and on tools of gardeners. Bacteria will live and multiply on the surfaces of leaves, twigs, flowers, and immature fruit for a few weeks, without causing symptoms. Bacteria needs a wound or a natural opening to infect the tree. Many infections start when bacteria growing on flowers reach a certain population and enter the flower through natural openings. Once the bacteria has infected, it can move into the branch through the vascular system of the tree. New branch crankers are formed by bacteria moving into branches in this way. In highly susceptible cultivars, the bacteria can move into the main trunk of the tree and even the roots. At this point, the tree will die. You may be wondering what you're looking at in this figure. It's the effect of Agrobacterium tumefaciens. It's a bacteria that majorly infects woody and herbaceous plants. Agrobacterium tumefaciens causes the crown gall disease. In its pathway, the bacterium can live for many years in soil and can multiply in the root zone of susceptible plants. It infects the plant through a wound, usually at ground level or on the roots, and transfers the tumorigenic, cancerous factor in some plant cells. These cells then start to divide uncontrollably, forming galls of undifferentiated tissue that restrict the normal functions of the plant. The bacterium can also enter the plant through mechanical injury to crowns or roots. Such injuries may be caused by cultivation equipment, insects, or animals. The bacteria that causes brown spots to beans plants is Pseudomonas syringae. The diseases it causes is blight of beans, which is shown in the figure as brown spots on the leaves. It originates by seedlings originating from contaminated seeds harbor large numbers of bacteria. Bacteria from infected plant debris are spread by splashing water and blowing soil. The bacteria enter the plant through natural openings or wounds during periods of high relative humidity or free moisture. At cool temperatures, the pathogen produces a toxin, facilitoxin, which is responsible for systemic chlorosis. After 7 to 10 days, bacteria ooze from lesions, imparting a greasy appearance. Secondary infections develop from these bacteria. Hollow blight is considered to be a cool temperature disease and frequently occurs shortly after seedling emergence of environmental conditions are conducive. As we learned a lot about bacteria that cause plant stress can also be caused by fungi. It could happen when they get infected by fungi, and it causes disease and stress to the plant, and it may kill it. The first fungi that we will be covering today is the Libellula tarica. It infects many species of the plant family Ericifaceae. The plants that it infects are grasses, vegetables, shrubs, and trees. The disease it causes is powdery mildew. Symptoms and pathway. It causes powdery mildew at flowering stage. However, it prefers warm weather. It affects the lower side of the leaves, buds, young shoots, flowers, and fruits. It appears as a gray powdery growth. The infected part will be stunted and disordered, and the leaves turn yellow and wilt. The powdery mildew fungi invade the epidermal cells only. When the conidial spore lands on the host surface, the fungus attaches to the surface and penetrates the host cuticle and cell wall. So the fungi will build one or two germ tubes, depending on the genre. The fungus penetrates the host cell wall by the aprosorial germ tube. Moving on to Fusarium oxysporum, the plant hosts that it infects are tomatoes, bananas, sweet potato, legumes, and melons. The disease that it causes is Fusarium wilt. Symptoms and pathway. It causes Fusarium wilt after transplantation or seedling stages. It grows at high temperature and in wet soil. It causes wilting of the plant and leaves lamina, commonly yellowing. The oldest leaves are split at their base, wilt, and die. The affected xylem becomes reddish-brown and is eventually plugged, leading to impeding water and nutrients transport. Also, the vascular system of plant will be discolored, especially in the roots and the lower stem. The fungus affects a single or limited set of host plants, but they do not develop symptoms when infected. Chestnut blight is a disease that infects chestnut trees. It is caused by a fungi known as Cryphonectria parasitica. As seen in this figure, this fungi undergoes some symptoms and pathways. It causes chestnut blight and is mainly spread in Asia and Europe. They cause a reddish-brown bark that develop to a swollen or sunken canker that kills limbs and twigs of the plant. The leaves turn to brown and wilt, but they still are attached to the tree for months, and the tree will die gradually. The fungi can survive for years with short-lived sprouts from the roots of chestnut trees and in less susceptible hosts. It is spread by splashing rain, wind, insects, and by birds over long distances. Last but not least is Tulago nuda. It causes the loose smut disease, and it infects the cereal and barley plants. Some symptoms and pathways that it undergoes is that it causes loose smut at seedling and flowering stages. They live a short life and don't usually survive under normal conditions. They are produced in the place of developing seeds and cause disease on grass and cereal and give the plant a smutted head. The fungi's Stiloe spores can survive for 13 years, and the fungi infect the seedlings by the dusted of the outer surfaces of the seeds, and the colonies proliferate during flowering and can survive to the next season with enviable deeds. We hope you learned more about the stress that bacteria and fungi cause on plants, to which you can identify the symptoms and take actions to protect your plants and crops. I'm Safa Zuaid, and thank you for listening.